Welcome to the second hour of the show with no name for Black Friday 2012, November 23rd, actually. I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha. We got some house full of guests here at Casa Bob. I've even lost track how many people are staying here. I know just about every inch of floor space has been taken up. Yeah. I think somebody was sleeping under the table here the other night, but I'm not positive. It's actually not a bad room to do it. But,
when you get more people than you have bedrooms. And
so who did all the cooking this year?
Elaine and I helped her quite a bit this year. Yeah, which is unusual because usually she kicks me out of the kitchen. So this year I had to help her a little bit.
Well, I did virtually all of it here.
Did you?
Yeah.
I had a 20-pound turkey.
At what?
A 20-pound turkey.
I had a 23, believe it or not.
This was a small one for us. Of course, we didn't have that many people, but she had French onion soup. And she had cocktails.
I should have gone with the soup. You know, I was thinking of making squash soup, but I figured I got all this squash anyway. But.
Yeah, and she had cocktails with meatballs and eggplant.
Wow.
And she had then the turkey and sweet potatoes, squash, artichokes.
Wow.
You know?
Well, I was kind of improvising as we went along. I did all the shopping a couple of days before, and you know the piece de resistance is always the maple sausage stuffing that I make. That is, it's the only reason some of the kids even come back here for Thanksgiving. They have to have my maple sausage stuffing, and they. On top of the Jimmy Dean maple sausage, which can only be bought locally at Walmart's now, as far as I can tell, but they keep it on a regular basis. And I don't know why, because it's fantastic. You know, the other stores stopped selling it, but it is terrific. Anyway, you know, the usual stuff: the bread, the onions, the celery, blah 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 blah. But the other secret ingredient is Jim Beam Kentucky bourbon. Which flavors it. You know, the alcohol, I'm sure, must burn off.
It does.
It was quite excellent. I couldn't eat it myself because of the gluten thing, but I made some gluten-free cornbread the night before and used that instead of bread, and that came out real good too. Here's one of the secrets. I don't know if I'm going to be able to repeat this, but I found in the half-price bin at Hannaford. Come on in, David. No, come on in.
I'm cooking.
Oh, you're cooking. Okay. Chicken broth, but it was Tuscan chicken broth.
Tuscan chicken broth.
And it was half price, and it was wonderful. It had basil, thyme, and rosemary, I think, already in it. So it added just a nice smooth spice flavor to it, and of course the broth keeps it moist, keeps the stuffing moist. So that worked out beautifully. And then after that, I had some sweet potatoes, and you know, generally the crew that eats sweet potatoes likes them, just throw them in the oven, and when they're done, we eat them.
Yeah.
But I divided them up in halves and had a couple that were like that. But I went to the internet. The internet is just fantastic for recipes.
Yeah.
You know, I said, let's look at some sweet potato recipes, and I found this one where they're looking for you put spiced rum in it, and you top it off with homemade cranberry sauce and all this stuff, and the partiers in the family actually had some mango rum, which I used in place of the spiced rum, and it gets absorbed into the. I love mango flavor stuff, and it gets sucked into the. You slice the sweet potato up, and it gets sucked into it as it bakes. And I made. I can't have pumpkin pie, so I made some pumpkin pudding instead, which I found decent recipe for it. I thought it came out a little too spicy, and no one else has actually tried it. But
and you don't care, right?
I guess I care. I don't want to eat the whole thing myself. But
well, I could.
But I think it either had too much cloves or too much cinnamon in it. But I followed the recipe, so it's not my fault.
Elaine is a sort of a traditionalist. She doesn't like to stray too far from, the straight dressing and
Right.
I used to make some sausage dressing on the side because she doesn't like sausage in her dressing. Because I don't know why she don't eat the dressing anyway. So what difference does it make?
Yeah. Over the years, I've dabbled with apple and sausage and all these other different But once I got into this maple sausage thing, that's it. That's staying. And I was, I originally planning on going to the turkey trot, and I didn't really feel up to it when I got up that morning, so I stayed home. I don't know how the meal would have gotten done if I had gone, because I was in the kitchen from 7 o'clock until the meal was done at like at 2:30. So
you put the turkey in the oven in the morning?
I put the turkey. I held back because the rest were going to the turkey trot, and I didn't want it done too early. In recent years, I haven't stuffed the turkey. I've just put the dressing on the side, and it cooks a lot faster. And it actually was done a good half hour, 45 minutes before the suggested time. But meanwhile, a 23-pound turkey takes up one hell of a lot of space in the oven.
It sure does.
And my wife said, "Well, why didn't you cook both the turkeys?" Because I got a smaller one too for later. It was so cheap. The frozen ones were 49 cents a pound.
We got 2 free ones.
Is that right? How'd you manage that?
Spend $100 in groceries, you got a free turkey.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So she went one weekend. She went up there. She spent $100 and she got a free turkey.
Oh God, we spent $100 without blinking.
Yeah. So she went 2 days later. She spent $80 some. She told the girl, she said, "I should go back and buy some more and get another free turkey." She said, "Don't worry about it." She said, "Here, you can have the turkey."
Wow.
So
it's easy when it's not your store, huh?
Yeah. Well, then it was. It had a label on it, 59 cents, $1 or something a pound for the turkey. And Elaine pulled the thing off underneath as the regular sign. It was 39 cents a pound for the turkey. So they jacked the price up to
for the free ones.
For the free ones.
Well, you really, 49 cents a pound, you can't let it go by.
No.
So, but of course I waited till Tuesday morning before doing my shopping, so I had to get a fresh turkey because defrosting a 23-pounder, even if you do the dunking it in the cold water trick for
we did that for 2 days.
Hours. I've done that a lot, but that I'm thinking now this turkey is too big to try that. Try that stunt with. So the so-called fresh turkey at 99 cents a pound as opposed to the 49 cents a pound. I don't want to think how much extra that cost me. It cost me an extra $10.
Yeah. Was there any difference in the flavor? You couldn't tell because.
No, because it was a previously frozen turkey. They just thawed it out for me.
Oh, okay.
It was still a little bit frozen when I picked it up, and there was still a little ice in it when I took it out of the fridge yesterday. But it worked out all right. I put it in cold water for half an hour.
Well, we had ours under. And matter of fact, I put it in the shower and let the shower.
Oh yeah.
Slow for 2 days because it was solid. And when I took it out Wednesday night, it was pretty well thawed out.
Wow.
Then we put it in the oven.
Use cold water? No, leave it right there because it's for David sitting. Unless you want to be a guest, Louisa.
I just made a chair.
Oh, no, not that one. Okay.
We put it in the night before the turkey.
Put it in the oven?
Yeah. Put it in Wednesday night, about 12 o'clock. Put it on 200.
Huh.
I woke up to go to the bathroom at about 3. I checked it, turned it up another 100 degrees. Then 6 o'clock in the morning, turned it up to another 100 degrees. And it was perfect.
And what time did it get done?
It was done, we ate at 12 or 1 o'clock. It was done probably about 10:30.
Wow. Did it have a popper on it?
Yeah, yeah. I kept it covered up, and when it was time to serve it, it was still warm from the oven. You know, because I just kept it in the pan, I didn't take it out. And I'll tell you, when I went to take it out of the pan...
Well, how'd you cook everything else if you kept the turkey in the oven?
Oh, we took everything else. It was on the side in the oven. I got a big oven.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I took it out, 10:30, then everything else could be cooked. When I took the turkey out of the pan, the breast part just came out in one big chunk.
Oh, yeah. That's when you know it's perfect.
So then I didn't, you know, I was going to take it away from the bone to slice it. It fell away from the bone. The leg, I pulled the leg out, and everything fell off the leg. I was taking the bones and putting them in the thing. I didn't have to cut anything. And it wasn't dried out. It was delicious.
So slow cooking is...
slow cooking.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have the guts to try that.
Well, we've done it as long as I can remember. We used to put it in at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, but I couldn't make it till 2 o'clock.
Right, right.
So, you know, you put the butter under the skin. You put the butter in the insides.
Because nowadays they really kind of come pre-moisturized, which is nice.
Yeah.
You know, they put all the broth in there, or whatever.
Yeah, because there must have been a lot of it in there. Because when I
had one hell of a lot of juice, I'll tell you when I was done.
6 o'clock in the morning, when I checked it in the oven, the juice was this far from the top.
Is that right? Holy mackerel!
So I got the baster and I took out a pan of juice. The pan was this size, and I had that much juice.
Wow! Wow! Pull up a chair here, David.
I'm just going to get myself a napkin, and I'll be right back.
All right, all right.
So it was a nice turkey.
Oof. Oh, and you know, I personally had never made homemade cranberry sauce before. That was always somebody else's job. So I gave that a shot this year. Holy God, that was so easy. I'm embarrassed that I've ever eaten anything out of a can. It was so simple.
Yep, Elaine did the same thing. And,
cup of sugar, cup of orange juice, and a bag of cranberries, and it's done.
She made 2 because...
I did too. I doubled it too.
Yeah, but she had to throw one out because she said she made it too much orange juice in it. I said, "You're crazy, guys. Don't throw that."
Oh my!
She had to be a perfectionist. I said, "Oh God."
Well, we'd like to welcome to the show with no name my brother-in-law David Kale from Bluebell, Pennsylvania.
Hello.
Go ahead. You finish eating here.
Start eating.
Or start eating. Okay. It's okay. Louisa keeps sneaking through here too. What's up, Louisa? We also have a guest in our house, Miss Deidre Duke from Dublin, Ireland,
really?
Who is David and Flossie's daughter Zoe's teammate on the real good Northeastern Huskies field hockey team,
and roommate.
And Deidre, I guess, what were you telling me? She's like third string All-America? Or,
yes. There's 11 that qualify for first team
All-American.
And then, no, she's on third, I think. She told me third. Anyway.
Second minimally. I thought it was first.
Well, we'll find out if she decides to come on the show.
So I think there's like 70 teams in the NCAA Division I, with approximately 20 to 30 kids
Right.
per team.
And
So
she's a freshman, like
she's a freshman.
like Zoe.
Yep, she's a freshman, and 11 make the first team, 11 make the second team, and 11 make the third team. That's 33.
Yeah.
We calculate
Out of 1,400. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you have Division II and Division III, which also are contenders.
Right. So it is a Division I program.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They did really well.
Boy, I guess so. We went to 3 or 4 games, I guess.
Albany.
We went to the preliminary in Albany. We went to one in Amherst, and we went to 2 at Boston College.
Right.
Not at Boston. Yeah. Boston College.
Old Dominion. And
Yeah.
then BC.
What was the first one? Old Dominion. No.
Albany in
No, we didn't see. We saw them play Albany at Albany.
right, scrimmage.
But we saw 2 games at Boston College. One was against Boston College, and the other one, Northeastern was playing their home game on the Boston College field.
Old Dominion.
I think that was the Old Dominion. I think that was the Old Dominion game. Or what was the one in Amherst?
UMass.
University of Massachusetts.
Oh, they were playing UMass.
And we
That's
won
right.
that
That's
one.
right. Yeah, they would have been playing UMass. Right.
Yeah, going into that Old Dominion game, they were 7-1.
Yeah. Well, what did Northeastern finish in the regular season? They were pretty good.
Depends. You can look it up on the internet. I heard you saying the internet's
Yeah.
amazing, but they have different ratings.
Yeah.
One is done by the coaches through the NCAA,
Mm-hmm.
and one is done through fieldhockey.com. So the coaches vote for the team they think is going to be number 1, 2, 3,
Right.
65 or 70 votes. And throughout the season, beginning of the season, they were 24th.
Preseason.
For record from last year,
Right.
they were ranked 24th.
24.
Out of 70.
Yeah, 65, 70, something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And they don't have a field right now.
Right.
It's in
So they had no real home games.
right.
They were playing at Harvard, or they were playing at BC, or whatever. Played a couple home games in New Hampshire, I think, didn't they?
That was their home field,
Yeah.
Durham, New Hampshire.
Yeah. Well, one of their home fields, because the BC game was a home game too. One of the games.
BC was home.
One of the.
They were visiting.
Yes, that game, but the game they played against Old Dominion was they were the home team. Anyway.
So 24th in the beginning of the season, they fly out to Louisville for a tournament against Louisville and Virginia. Louisville, Virginia, something like that. And Northwestern. And at that time, Northwestern was ahead of us. They were like 22 or something like that. So they win. They win both games in the tournament. They come back. Does it if I have a little aid for just look this up so I get it right?
Oh yeah, you do whatever you want. Well, of course, we just make stuff up as we go along.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Well, while you're doing that, by the way,
nobody corrects us. So
I got it.
Zoe is also a freshman, and she played. Both the girls were starters all season, right?
yeah.
Zoe got a lot of time. I mean, she was playing a defensive position.
Left back.
Yeah. I always played left out when I was. But she managed to score a goal during the late in the season. And how did that come about?
Well,
were you there for that one or
Let
no?
me just finish the other thing.
So, no. We just interrupt and go.
Here it all is. Here it is all.
You don't understand how this show works.
Yeah,
you should watch it more often.
I'm learning. So,
We're not too precise.
back to Dartmouth. I'm cursed with that. So, then they had to fly out to Michigan State. I played Virginia and Michigan State. Won both of them. So they won 5 games on the road right away. Came back to Massachusetts, UMass. Tight game.
Oh, that was a great game.
4-3. Won that in overtime. So that's a 6th game. And they're dropping in ranking as they're going. So now they're like at 19, 18, 17. Then they played New Hampshire. and that was a bummer game. They should have won. They lost. That was their first game, 6-1. Then you were at this William and Mary
I didn't see that.
at Harvard. They played at Harvard.
No, I didn't see that.
And then Old Dominion back at BC. So they beat William and Mary 7-1, lost to Old Dominion 7-2. James Madison they win, Harvard they win, Delaware down where we live they win that. Boston College they lose 0-1. Tough game.
I was at that game.
You know the rivalry between BU, BC, and Northeastern is always there.
Yeah.
So long story short, Maine, that's the game that you're talking about. So we had 4 firsts. You know, we couldn't go to all the games. We went to, we did well. I think regular season we went to 11 out of 20.
Which is amazing, considering that you live 6 hours from Boston. So, yeah.
And 7.5 from UNH.
Right.
So anyway, when you're home, you have a couple options that are given to you. You don't really have a choice. Either you can watch, if it's a home game, then it'll be broadcast via video.
On the internet.
On the internet. Game tracker, they call it. And it's like shot by college students, and you know they're panning across, and there's a pole. They seem to stay on the pole longer than
right.
And then you get all kinds of transmission stuff where it looks like people on LSD or something like that. It's like all these colors all over the place. And then your other choice is you get what's called live stats. And again, you have college students just recording what's going in, who's subbing in, who's subbing out, who's hitting the ball, when's the penalty, who's getting a penalty card, and that's good amount of torture right there too. Because in the beginning of the season, what I'd do is I didn't know the players as well, so I'd lay them out and I would like draw and write in who's subbing who. Turned out Zoe didn't have that many subs subbing in and out. So I'm sitting in our dining room, sunny day, and we're playing Maine. Now Maine was ranked like 50th. All right, at that time we were knocking on 12th, 13, something like that in rankings for NCAA. And it's 0-0 with half the game left. With half the first half left.
Oh, first half. Okay.
Yeah, when we should have been trouncing them.
Right.
So and Flossie's like nervous, like she just got up and went to wash dishes. She couldn't take it any longer. So I'm sitting there, and I've got the computer there. We're looking at it, keeping track of the game tracker, and all of a sudden I see this is the game with 4 firsts for Zoe. Right? Zoe Kale, first career goal, assist, Dieter Duke, her roommate.
Oh yeah.
And yesterday I heard the actual how the play formulated. Dieter plays forward. She's in the front line. They all swarmed her, 4 players on her. Dieter says, I gave Zoe an easy, wonderful pass. Zoe says, I took it in and shot and scored. And a parent had emailed us that was at the game and said there was a hush that came over the stadium because, and all the girls, all her teammates were like stunned, like, what's going on here? And all of a sudden she realized she'd scored the goal, her first goal, and a jubilation erupted. But so the first. I
mean, was she still playing left back at that?
Well, you're on point there.
Yeah, so, because I was trying to figure out how she did it.
You're right. You're very, very smart. I'm scratching my head. How the hell could she score out of left back? So you got 3 lines. You got left back. There's 3 players.
Right.
Then you got a diamond formation for the midfield with a left midi and a right midi and a center mid and a low center mid, and then you got your three offense, and then you got your goal.
As close as she's allowed to go is outside the range when you can ordinarily shoot.
She's defense. She's got to be back in the backfield.
Right. Well, I mean, I've seen her go forward, but there's a line she can't cross.
She goes about 50-yard line. That's right. Maybe.
No, I've seen her go ahead of that, but
she never goes into the circle.
Right.
Right.
That's it. Yes, she can't stay within the circle.
You can only score in the circle.
Right, and she can't be in the circle.
Right,
or she's offside.
You can score from anywhere in the field.
Right.
You got to be within this 25.
Unless you bounce it off of somebody else.
Ricochet, but they have to be in the circle. They have to be in the circle.
The other person has to be.
Whoever you're bouncing it off of.
Yeah. I mean, she could theoretically shoot it from the far side of the field as long as it bounced off of somebody.
She had some great shots like that that ricocheted. So anyway, I'm scratching my head.
Yeah, I did see her make a shot on goal at the last game we saw at BC.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm scratching my head. How the hell can she score? And I said, Floss, this must be a typo. The game tracker must be wrong.
Right.
But it stayed there, and it stayed there, and it stayed there. So,
must be a different Zoe Kale.
Yeah, you know, who the hell?
This must be the other Zoe Kale.
So, after the game, I learned that actually what happened was she scored.
Have a clementine if you want.
Yeah. She scored, and Floss said, if they don't win this game, when my daughter scores a goal, that's going to be really bad. So a minute 46 seconds later, Maine scores. Now it's 1-1. All right. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. You know, we should be crushing this team. So by mid-game, it's 3-1. We're up. We're going to lockers, 3-1 ahead of them. Sure enough, as luck would have it, they score 2 more goals. It's 3-3. We go into overtime. What's going on here? So
everyone's still stunned from that first Zoe Kale score.
I guess. So we end up winning 4-3 in overtime. And what's unique in overtime is you play 6 of your best top players plus a goalie against their 6 and their goalie. So it's called 7v7 for 15 minutes. Now there has been games such as the one we did against UConn 2 weeks ago where there was double overtime. And then if neither team scores, then they have a shootout.
They had one heck of a lot of overtime games this season. I think more than half, right?
That's a good question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's true. That's 7 out of I guess it was like 22 games.
Okay.
So talked to Zoe after the game by telephone and text message, and I text her, wow, incredible, how did you score that goal? She said the coach put her in as center mid.
Oh.
All right, so center mid's responsibility is to be a runner, run down, assist other offensive players in shooting a goal or shoot a goal themselves, run back and assist the defense and control the midfield. Right. So Zoe's uniqueness in all these years of high school play was she's an amazing distributor. She passes the ball, and that's think of any sport. Passing is
the playmaker.
Yeah. In fact, one coach I used to be with, I was assistant on my son's team, basketball. He said, all right, his first practice is, all right, boys, I don't really know you very well, and we're going to have a great time. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'm just going to say one thing this year for you. Just one thing is all I want you to concentrate on. And we can forget about everything else as long as you do these 3 things. And everybody's on the edge of their seat. He says, I want you to shoot, I want you to pass, and I want you to dribble. In that order. It's a good recipe. It's a good recipe. So anyway, so second first was that she got moved up to center mid, which all her whole life she wanted to play that spot.
I mean, she never had?
She had never really played that.
Wow.
Because her coaches didn't see her true qualities. The time, her senior year, the time she did play, her coach, she had a new coach, put her in, and we looked like finally she's going to, and they won the game like 7-1 or something like that. It was a fabulous game. The next week we found out she had mono, and she was out for the quickest recovery in mono I've ever heard. 3 weeks.
I've never heard of that.
3.5, 4, 3.
My brother was down for like a year.
Yeah, no.
Usually lasts quite a while.
Yeah. So she came back, and by that time, the coach had fallen in love with this other player that wasn't as good as Zoe, but she ended up moving back on defense. Actually, for her senior year, she played 7 positions.
Wow.
Yeah. So she played all the midfield. She played all the backfield. I don't think she might have been forward once or something like that. So so I was going back to the 4 first in that main game. So shooting goal, playing midfield. Like I said, this game tracker, you can never look at the stats. I saw she was subbed in a couple times. So it looks like you played about 90% of that game, Hanzo. She said, no, Dad, I played 100% of that game. She played the whole game.
She was getting subbed out into other positions.
Yeah.
Maybe rotated.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. And then, so once they tied it 3-3, put your best 6 in. As a freshman, she went in and she played overtime.
Is that right?
So that was the fourth first. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me share that with you.
Wow.
Very exciting.
Well, I was wondering because I didn't get a chance to talk to her about it. Or I asked her about it and she just kind of brushed it off like it wasn't important. Oh, yeah. She said, yeah, it's like she'd forgotten she had scored the goal.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
They're a dandy-looking team, I'll tell you. I mean, I knew nothing about field hockey going to it. I had no idea it was played on a pool table, for example.
Explain
it's all artificial turf. It's not like
is it?
And what's unique about it?
They spray they spray it down at halftime with the water goes out, so they keep so it's like playing in the field, only it's
No, that's not it. They spray it down in the beginning of the game and mid game, and end of the game if it goes into overtime, because the ball on a dry surface will bounce really hard, but the water creates like a suction sort of thing, so it stays on the turf.
Oh, okay.
In other words, to make up for the fact that they're completely artificial. The old swamp would have worked just would have worked just fine. I mean, I don't know. When did they go to this artificial turf stuff? Because field hockey's been around for a long time, but I'm sure it used to be played.
I would say about 10 years ago.
Oh, it is that recently.
Well, no, actually, it was in high school.
Is all field hockey on artificial?
It's all moving that way.
Oh, yeah.
Because well, you know how old a field hockey is as a game?
Well, that's the Indian.
It's probably as old as it goes. I was lacrosse, but it was close enough.
Which Indians?
American No, not the American Indians.
Probably the Indians.
It's a over 4,000-year-old game.
Originally done in Sanskrit.
Mesopotamia. That's right.
Wow.
Now, Northeastern is building a field in.
Well, why in the world didn't they have it done for the season? I mean, they only played 3 months out of the year, and the other 9 months they could have been building the.
You know this? It's totally political.
Is that right?
How good's your team? And if it's good enough, we'll build you something. So they actually, the nicest thing about this year, we got down to about number 8 in the NCAA.
I think it was 7 at one point. It was 7. They were 7 at one point.
And
they made the
you take the top 16 teams.
Yeah, they made the Sweet 16. Yeah.
The way it works is you play it within your division, and typically the top first and second place teams from each division go.
Yeah.
But this year in our division, the Colonial Athletic Association, which is made up of Hofstra, Old Dominion, James Madison, Drexel, Delaware, Northeastern, and I'm forgetting one. There's one more. Old Dominion this year was not able to play in the NCAA as a leader for the CAA because they're moving out of it, moving into a different division. But because they were the best team in the division now, they got an automatic place, which meant that only one of the 2 teams that played for division title would go.
Oh.
So Drexel, we lost to them 1-0 earlier in the season. We came back and we lost to them again for the division title, which, I mean, Drexel at that time was ranked like 18th, and we were like 8. But, you can't look at that. I mean,
No.
we beat Hofstra 5-1. Hofstra beats BU 3-0, and we lose to BU. I mean, so on any given day, anybody can lose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, you'll like this. Syracuse was excellent this year, and they had an amazing season. I think they only lost 2 or 3 games, but they lost to University of Massachusetts, who was like 20th, and they were like 1 and 2 for quite a while. So anything can happen. I can talk about field hockey all day.
Well, I guess we don't have to do that.
Well, I don't know that much about it, so.
Yeah, they played out that kind of pool table. So you had
Yeah,
to
you
use
were
this,
saying, yeah.
I guess the best story I have about that was when I used to coach a lot of things for the kids. Sammy, I coached t-ball and Zoe softball, but she hated that. Soccer, I was head coach.
David is very, very competitive, especially as a coach. You have to understand.
Okay.
I don't want to
Very
tell you.
competitive.
I won't tell you the one baseball story that got me in trouble. Got me. Big
Is that
trouble.
your profession, coaching?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm an artist, graphic designer.
Oh, really?
Web designer.
My son was a graphic designer
Oh yeah.
till he gave it up.
How come?
He was getting disgusted, or not disgusted, frustrated with everything.
Yeah, I can see
And,
that. I can definitely.
He went back to school and became a X-ray technician.
He did my back.
Did he?
Yes, he did. I was a little loopy at the time because they had stuffed me full of.
When did he do all that?
About a year ago.
Oh, how old is he?
50.
And he became an X-ray technician now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. After 30 years as a graphic artist, he's graphic design. He gave it up.
And how many years did it take to become an X-ray technician?
2 years. Year and a half, 2 years.
Is he happy?
Completely. I've never seen him happier.
There you go.
I know his frustration. I can share that.
David runs his own business.
Yeah.
You know, he's on his phone all the time.
Right.
There.
He was.
And on my jet too. Right?
And you can't, you know, you can't pass anything up. You got to be right.
He's a terrific artist, though. He's a terrific artist. He's a good painter.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna.
David's father, who passed away last year, was a terrific architect. He designed, among other things, the visitor center at Valley Forge.
Really?
How do you get into that? I mean,
Architecture?
you know, yeah. I mean, your father came from a scramble on the street family in Atlantic City, and ends up being a major architect.
Yeah.
That was big. He ended up studying commercial art, and I guess I don't know what triggered his interest in architecture. Always good with his hands. His father made wheels for cars out of wood.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Is that right?
He had a mill that made wheels.
I saw a documentary on TV and making wooden wheels.
And he would always end up with the cord. You're leaving? Aw. Did you get something from Zoe?
No, I'm gonna wait till Christmas.
Oh, really?
I should take it with Are you still need to say goodbye? No.
So we would get the cores of the wheels, and not we, he would.
Yeah.
I wasn't around then.
Yeah.
And they would play ice hockey with him. Street hockey. Street hockey in Atlantic City. And make up little pucks. But he ended up going after architecture at University of Pennsylvania, and
Monday morning, okay?
went into a firm called Eschbach, Stevens, Pullinger and Bruder, and eventually bought them out, and it became Eschbach, Glass and Kale. And then they brought in an engineering firm, TEI, and did quite well. They did, early on, he won a national award for a residential home called the Holland House, which was unique in its kind, very Mies van der Rohe kind of skin and bones architecture is what they call it. And then also very, a little bit of Frank Lloyd Wright influence. I mean, I guess all of them.
Well, when Christy designed the house you lived in, and the first time I was there, probably the only time I was there, they had us over one day, and I said to him, I said, "Geez, this looks like a Frank Lloyd Wright house." I don't even know if I knew he was an architect at the time, and he was.
Did he bristle?
He beamed. And you know. A very unique house. And probably in most communities they wouldn't even let them build it today because it was too avant-garde.
Too extreme.
Well, you know, it was way ahead of his time. He was one of the first that came up with this concept of the big room.
Yeah.
So when you
So
see these McMansions, you see dining opening up to, kitchen with open counter spaces, opening up to dining, opening up to large living. So, you know, that house in '62 was built for 32 grand, which was a lot of money back then.
I know, but still.
Yeah. And the way he did that was every single piece of material not only worked as a I want to use the word decorative, as a finish. Much better architectural word. As a finish. Not only as a finish, but as a structural member. So posts that held the beams that were exposed, he actually made a beam out of two 2x12s with a 2x10 inside. So it has this nice little recess channel down. And then he kept that natural pine color, and then Cabot stained the two beams. So he's got these nice dark beams running across, 16-foot ceilings. The space for the kitchen, dining, and living, which was all one space, was 22 by 35.
It's a huge room. It's
by 16.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the ceiling was a tongue and groove ceiling with pine tongue and groove.
Yeah.
So that's exposed, and that makes the roof. And then there's insulation and coatings on top of that. So that everything's exposed. The studs that hold the ceiling joists was also painted a Cabot brown, and the stud usually is, I guess he might have doubled it up, so two 2x4s next to each other. Made like a 4x4.
So 4x4, yeah.
And he would do that on both sides. You know, one would be into the wall and one would extend out. And so they had little fins that came out like 3 feet. So if you imagine a 35-foot space, he divided that into 7-foot increments.
Okay.
All right, so you had 5 of them coming across. Yeah. And you'd come into the space this way, and it would open up with the dining room over here, the kitchen over here, the dining, and then the living over here, and then these nice, long, elegant lights hanging down. All the dimmer switches, which was also way ahead. So anyway, so these buttresses, they were sort of like the Notre Dame buttresses concept to hold the joist. He took cherry plywood, 16 feet long, and like a true 1/8 of an inch thick, and made the buttress structurally strong, but exposed the cherry. So as you look at it, you see this red sort of cherry against the Cabot brown, and it's
going to be impressive.
It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he had also, you probably don't know this, but he also did the house for the guy that I forget his name. You might know it. After 6 formal wear.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
So that house was amazing, and that was done. I think that was done before Dad's house. So like the Holland house was critical. Then the After 6, I forget his name. Terrible story. The family came in, and the son took his business and everything.
Do you remember when he built your house? Because you were kind of small at the time.
Now you just like all of a sudden you just really did it to me. I was 62. I was 6 years old. All right. And you got those joists 16 feet across, 16 feet up, and 22 feet over. Clear span. There was no molly columns or anything like that.
Wide open.
I can remember, maybe not on those high ones, but on the lower level, it was split level. So you come in low, you come up, and then you go up one more floor. So that second floor is probably 8 feet. I can remember walking across floor joists.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Because that's what all the guys would do. There was a guy named Charlie Cummings who was the master carpenter. And he and Dad just clicked. And he loved to work in oak. And you've seen some of the oak, the big oak tables.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what the chairs I'm building out of oak.
Is that right? He's a master carpenter too.
No, not a master carpenter.
Well, this guy just incredible. He would he'd do it the old-fashioned way without any screws.
That's what these chairs are.
Yep, all mortise joints.
Mortise and tendon, and glue.
Yep. And Dad had these open bays. So in the beginning, you know, Dad had him design this nice, beautiful oak table, and it's like laminated oak pieces, and it's, you know, it's probably like that wide and 10, 12 feet long. And later in the years, Dad wanted to fill in the 7-foot spaces with build-ins. So Charlie said, "I'm doing them out of oak," and Dad said, "It's not gonna work." And Charlie said, "I'm building them out of oak." So sure enough, Dad was right. All the drawers built out of oak and all the doors that slid worked, and you couldn't open anything. So we ended up taking them out and putting in oak veneered pieces that looked almost matched. But I have a chess set that was built out of oak. I have all kinds of, like that trunk over there, like a long boot trunk you can throw your boots in with slats to let the air come out. And the guy,
everywhere you turned was clever, you know, just
functional. Everything was functional.
Yeah. Form follows function. That was big for him.
And you think, you know, you'd think a big room like that would be kind of overwhelming. It was actually kind of intimate, actually, because it had all these nice little social spaces in it.
Yes.
Yeah, you break it up.
That's
break
weird.
it up with those 5-foot buttresses, and it looks like it's separate rooms.
Yeah. Well, they used to have New Year's parties, and they would probably have about 50 to 100 people in there, and they would take all the furniture out. And my dad loved music. Like in the mornings.
Hell of a dancer.
Yeah.
Both your parents together.
They took dance lessons, and they loved music. In fact, that was how my mom and dad met. Is that she finally said, "It's been 6 months. You have my record collection. I want it back," or something else.
Or we're getting married.
I want my record player back. That was it. He had the records. I want my record player back. So.
Well, we took a wall down the last time. The time you were there, that one wall separating the two rooms. We took it out, so now it's one great big room with just that little jog in the one side.
The one connecting to the addition, or the
no, not
to
that
the front.
No, the dining room where we sat.
Yeah.
Well, the one wall that came out 2 foot.
Yeah.
We took it down, straight wall all the way down.
And the house didn't fall down.
No.
All right.
No. It's one of the things I did right.
Well, it takes about 45 minutes to get from his front door to his back door. The way he's extended the house there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Somebody rings the doorbell. By the time I get there, they're walking
They're
off.
gone,
Of course,
right.
they said nobody's home.
Yeah.
It sounds like a nice house.
Well, it's an old house, but I did what I could with it at the time.
His dad did a lot of buildings. He worked with a lot of universities. He did 8 buildings at Penn State, including the Theater Arts Complex, which was cutting edge. One of the buildings, Dad loved Corbusier, French architect. He was the father of precast concrete.
Huh.
Yeah. And if you look up Corbusier, you see all his buildings have cantilevered concrete, which is tough to do. Concrete is just not built that way to function that way. So Dad ended up doing work at Penn State, one building called the Forum, which was a lecture hall, and he designed it so that it was in a pie shape as you went around, like a shell almost. And then there were pie-shaped rooms where you had the lecturer, and then people could sit and watch. And the roof was undulating concrete all the way around. So and then that was pretty cool. And then he had a theater building, which was state of the art with acoustics.
Are you guys leaving? They say yes?
Yeah.
Bye!
I got a story that I worked with a carpenter, a contractor, in my early days in Amsterdam, part-time. 'Cause he felt sorry for me that I was poor. So he gave me a part-time job working with him. And he was, every job that I went on with him, it was always sheetrock. And, you know, the hammer, regular hammer, you know, I'd grab it in the middle of the handle. Jimmy, he's an old Italian guy. Jimmy, he said, you know, he says, you got to hold it on the end. I said, okay, Art. And, you know, hand back into the middle of the handle. After probably about 5 or 6 hours, he says, and giving me hell, give me that hammer a minute. Said, okay, he goes outside, goes out to his truck, cuts the handle in half. He says, now he says, you'll hold it on the end now.
And that's how you learn to hold it on the end.
That's how I learned to hold the hammer on the end.
That's unique.
Cut it in half. He says, there you go.
It's funny, it reminds me of a story. I had a summer job and I was doing framing. And, you know, we'd have to carry the plywood and carry the joists and hoist them up to the top of the house. And it's run by an Italian guy. And I didn't speak any Italian at that time. I've since learned how to speak Italian. And he would yell at us from the ground, "Yamo, Yamo!" And I was like, I didn't know what the hell that meant. Do you?
Yeah.
Not the way you said it, no. Go ahead.
So later in life, I realized that was Siciliano for andiamo.
For what?
Andiamo.
Oh, andiamo. Yeah. Andiamo.
No, he says Yamo.
Yamo. Is that true?
Yeah, that's well. That's
Jimmy's Sicilian.
Basically, what I remember. Yeah.
Tu parli Italiano?
No.
Sicilian. Do you understand? Do you understand? He's Sicilian. They speak a different language. They're different people.
Oh, conosco.
You can tell. You can tell from his blue eyes. He's really Norwegian.
When I was a kid, couldn't talk English.
Oh,
when
just
I was
Italian.
Baby, just Italian, because my parents taught. And then when I started school, my mother says, "No," she says, "You're an American. Got to talk English." So from then on, they talked English, broken English, but never talked Italian anymore.
Tell me,
I don't know how to talk Italian.
Tell me if you like this idea. C'è molto importante di parlare italiano, perché italiano è la più bella lingua del mondo.
I have no idea what you're
Come
saying.
musica. I'm gonna tell you. I said it's very important to speak Italian because Italian
is the language of the world.
It's the language of the world. It's like music. It's beautiful. It's like music.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. It is a beautiful language to listen to.
It's the most beautiful language.
It is.
Più bella lingua del mondo.
I got I don't know 5 discs on speaking Italian, but the discs do not correspond to the language that I knew.
Yeah, right. Because you grew up with a Sicilian dialect.
Yeah. So I said, I don't know.
You're learning Tuscan English.
It doesn't. I can't. I just put them aside. I couldn't do it.
I think I told you what my grandmother said. I said they were from northern Tuscany, and I dared to say to my grandmother one day, "What dialect did you speak?"
Oh, jeez. There's only one.
She said, "We didn't speak a dialect. We spoke Italian."
Right.
And and I thought she was just being parochial, but it turns out she was absolutely correct, because what they teach in the schools as real Italian
Romantica
is the language of Dante.
Right.
Because Dante was Tuscan, and Dante
Florence.
wrote Italian.
He was from Florence.
There you go. Firenze.
Firenze.
Your wife's name is Firenze.
Firenze.
Whatever. Depends on which side of the hill you come from.
But as
we spoke Italian.
I studied in Italy.
Did you really?
For part of my my temple experience with
if you want to study art, there's no better place to go, is
so
there?
I was at a temple abroad at Lungotevre Alnaro di Brescia. That was the name of the street. And I knew French, but I was going to learn Italian there. So I had my little, I think it was Berlitz back then. And Dad had known the DeLulu family from Philadelphia, and they had a big restaurant called the DeLulu Centro. Schwanky restaurant right on Market Street, 12th and Market, right on the corner. Major Italian restaurant. And so he gave me the name and number of the family there. So when I arrived, my family, my mom's side is from England. So I went and stayed in Spandon Row, Forest Row in Spandon, which is about an hour, 15, 20 minutes northwest of London. And I took the Transalpina down to Rome, 24 hours. Had a couchette, which is like a little sleepaway thing. And when I arrived there, you come into Stazione Termini. That's the Rome, train station in Rome. And I didn't know how to use a Gettoni and a telephone. I had a couple and put them in, tried dialing this.
Oh, yeah. Well, we had the same problem in the English-speaking countries too. So yeah, yeah.
So finally, I get through to DeLulu, right? And I say, "Hi, this is David Kale from America. My father said I should call you." And all I hear on the other line was, "Qua? Qua?" Which, if you know your Italian,
right, gotcha.
What?
What?
So that sort of turned me off for a little bit, but I was determined. And about 2 months later, I decided I had the address. I decided I'd go find this family out, what they were like. So they lived in Borghese Gardens, which is like a very schwanky area of Rome, close to where I lived, in a pensione, and studied. And so I knock on the door, and the door opens, and there is Sophia Loren, almost. This young, young, beautiful girl. She's got boots up to her pippic, and she greets me, and I say hello. She says, "Come on in." I explain my whole story, and then her sister walks out with a pair of jeans with holes in it, and a butch haircut, and a T-shirt on. Lo and behold, so Stefania was answering the door. She was 16, I was 18. And Anna, her sister, was a student studying architecture at University of Rome.
No kidding.
Yeah. So we proceeded to get to know each other, and they offered me some a cornetti, which was a little sweet cake, and a cappuccino, and we talked for a while, and they said, "Come back another time." So I proceeded to go out with them a couple times. I'll never forget one time we went to Trastevere, which is like the market area, outside of Rome, in Rome, but on the outsides. And I'll never forget Anna. Stefania had too many guys. I never really saw her again until the end, but Anna would include me. And I'll never forget, she had me on one side and her boyfriend on the other side, and we'd walk down the street, okay, and that's the way the Italians are, and they'd say hello, they kiss you on both cheeks, and you're just part of the whole thing. So my 5 months is over. I go to say goodbye, and I notice that they're talking English, and I say to them, I said, I've been struggling for 5 months to communicate to you guys. Now I find out you're speaking English. What's the deal? I said, don't you remember you said you don't want to speak any English, that you just speak Italian with me?
Well, that's the way it somehow goes.
But the lighting in Italy when you wake up in the morning is like crystal sharp, clean, and you see these sienna-colored walls and these rose-colored stucco walls and flowers. And I have this visualization actually in the winter. See, I arrived in January. I have this visualization of this papa, this older grandpapa, walking down the street holding the hand of his grandchild, son or daughter. But that kind of, familia, strong.
Right.
I did also visit Sicily.
Did you?
Yeah, that was great.
That's where I gotta go.
I went to Palermo, which is a tough town.
Yeah, but did you see Nicosia?
Mafia?
Nicosia. Did you see Nicosia?
No, the city.
The city of Nicosia.
I went to Agrigento, Assisi.
That's where my parents were from, Agrigento.
It was a tile town. They make ceramics. Assisi. And then in the center, we were there for Pascha, which is Easter. In the center, there was a little town that the bus rode up to, and we were there early enough in the day for their celebration. And they walked down the street with a sculpture of Mary, okay? And I have photographs of them making donations, putting money
sticking the dollar
onto the statue.
Right.
And it's symbolic. You can help me out with this, but it's what I understand. It was symbolic of sharing their sorrows in life with what happened to Mary. So they got these. They're called giocolieri, which are like these clowns that run around and make fun of the audience and sort of lighten things up. And then afterwards, they party and they cook these long sausages and have them on a stick and they wave them around the air. And you walk down the basements and you drink wine. It's
Vino, a little vino. You make your own?
We went through 3 bottles of wine yesterday. I don't crush the grape, but I buy the juice and make my own wine.
Oh, good.
Hey, listen, we've come to the end of another happy hour. David Kale, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice meeting you.
Stop by again
Nice
sometime.
meeting you, David.
And Jim the Coach, I'm Bob Going, and we'll be back next week with more of the show with no name.